Hello, everyone. You are once again up front with Frank Rothstein on Skies Crescent Radio at skiescrescentradio.com. But we are broadcasting live on YouTube. If you're seeing my face, because you're on YouTube. We are also live on Facebook at the Upfront with Frank Rothstein page or on Skies Crescent Radio page. So there's a lot of places to watch us. You can also email me, upfrontfrank@gmail.com. Upfrontfrank@gmail.com. Sitting with me, but not really with me, somewhere else in a room of splash, eating on a snack, looks like chocolate. Everyone say hello to the chewing Jade Zabrick. Well, a lot going on, I guess. Yeah, normally I don't like to go to the headlines, but, you know, much like other stories over the last couple of years, there's only one thing in the news these days, and that is, of course, what's going on between Russia and Ukraine, the war between Russia and Ukraine. And well, this is always a tragic thing. I don't like seeing this. I don't want to see anyone die in war. I don't want to see anyone on the Ukraine side die. I don't want to see anyone on the Russian side die. Soldiers, they don't make the decisions. They just follow orders. I'm not sure how it works in Russia, but in America, I know if there's a morally wrong order, depending on what a soldier feels, they are not required to follow it. In Russia, I'm not sure how that works. Well, I'm not going to go through the political views of this. I'm not going to go. All I know is this is one guy, Vladimir Putin, has a war going on. He sent his soldiers in to carry it out for him. I know the people of Russia do not want this. I know certainly the people of Ukraine do not want this. I do have many people I talk to from Ukraine, many people I talk to from Russia. Between social media apps, it's easy to talk to people around the world. And it's different. Well, right now, as it stands, the world is putting on sanctions and withdrawing support from Russia on many different fronts. Right now, as it stands, when you look up the comparison of the ruble to the US dollar, it is 0.0094 ruble to $1. It means it's worth less than a penny. And as in most wars, it's not the leader of the country who's suffering. It's usually, it's usually the people. In the case of Russia, well, Vladimir Putin's still eating pretty well. The leader of Ukraine, President Zelensky, the United States offered him a way out to evacuate. Instead, he said he needed weapons, not a. That was it. I need weapons, not a ride. So he picked up a rifle. And it occurred to me that, well, I'm going to get to what occurs to me in just a few minutes. So we know that, keep that thought. Right now, the Russian ruble is falling like crazy, to the point that Russia has now upped its key interest rates from 9.5% to 20%. That is because of all the financial hits they're taking now. Manchester United has pulled a $53 million sponsoring campaign through the Russian airlines. Both major sanctioning bodies of soccer, FIFA and UEFA, they are blocking Russia from competing. Not sure what the Olympics are going to do in a couple of years, because it's a couple of years off. Of course, they have been pretty much heavily limited from the international banking exchanges and everything else that you can think of. So yeah, the Russian financial system is taking a big hit. You know what that means? People are taking a big hit. The people are always taking a big hit. It's just the way it goes. It's just it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. People pay the check. It just goes that way. Um, yeah, Russia suspended from international soccer. What is this? One of my favorite video clips, which is making its way around the news, because normally I don't like to read what comes off the news, but it was the Ukrainian border guards in this little island where the Russian ship is warning them to surrender or they will be bombed. And of course, in Ukraine, Russian, their language, he told the Russians to go fuck themselves. I like that a lot. Now, yes, they opened fire and people got hurt, but the 13 guards did live. I was looking at a video today on TikTok, of all places. There is some guy in the middle of the road with a fresh cigarette who picked up a landmine to carry it off the road into the woods so it couldn't hurt anybody. He's not military. He's just wearing his jacket, whatever. Put a cigarette in his mouth, because that's what he's going to do. Picked up a landmine and walked it right off. That is testicular fortitude. I got to tell you, that's a set. I got to say, that's a set of balls to do that. I don't know that I could pick up a live bomb and walk it off somewhere. Elon Musk, this is from a couple of days ago. Elon Musk, after the request for help for technology, because the Ukraine internet was knocked out, there was nothing there. Elon Musk activated his Starlink in Ukraine. So the Ukrainian citizens now have back their internet. They have service. It's a massive support system. That means technology for the military is back in force. I told you Manchester United pulled out. Okay, where are we over here? Yep. Cell phone carriers waive charges, allow free long distance calling to Ukraine so people can keep up with their families and their friends. That's a big piece of support. Now, again, this is not adding military, but yeah, Poland has sent weapons, Germany has sent weapons. And the longer this goes, you're going to find less and less support for Russia. And again, I expect the Russian citizens to support their country. Not all, obviously, but if someone who is Russian said they support their country, I don't blame them. That's where they grew up. That's their home. They're not looking for people to die. They are from Russia. I understand. I am from America. I would be, of course, supporting my country. If you want leadership, well, President Zelensky is standing there with a gun in his hand. The former heavyweight champions, one being the mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko, have taken up guns. They are standing their ground. They are standing with their ground with the troops. They are defending if necessary. The current heavyweight champion, Alexander Usyk, went back home. He is with some battalion somewhere. He is defending his country. The lightweight champion, former lightweight champion, Vasily Lomachenko. He has gone home. He is with his country, and so that's 4 champions. And when I don't know if they can shoot any better than anyone else, but when you're the troops fighting and your troop is the champion of the world, that's a thing. That's a spiritual lift. So yeah, that is a lot. It really is. It is a lot. It's people standing up to a little kid standing up to the bigger kid. That pretty much, if I want to oversimplify and go to the most basics, that would be one way to put it. I was reading in today's paper, a Ukrainian sailor sinks a Russian boss's $7.7 million luxury super yacht. It says here, a Ukrainian man was arrested for partially sinking his Russian tycoon boss's $7.7 million luxury super yacht in Spain over protest over the Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine. Taras Ostapchuk, 55, was taken into custody on Saturday Malacca after he allegedly opened several valves to intentionally flood the 156-foot vessel. Of course, he was arrested. The yacht's name was Lady Anastasia. It's owned by businessman Alexander Jeev, who is the CEO of Russian military weapons company Russia Baron Export. Well, okay. He took his stand that way. That may not affect the export of or building of weapons, but he made his point. So if he does a little jail time, he'll do a little jail time. He doesn't care. But that leads me back to the original point that I was coming back to. Now, of course, I have no experience at leading a war. Oh, by the way, many Russian vodkas have been pulled from the shelves of bars and liquor stores around the country and Canada. Just keep in mind that just because it's another thing that just cuts off a little bit from the Russian financial supply chain. But just keep in mind that just because a vodka has a Russian sounding name does not mean that it's made in Russia. A lot of them are made in many other countries. So I think it's a very good effort. Just if you own the stuff, check the labels and your receipts and see where it's really coming from and where it's really made. But it's back to what I was trying to say is I'm not quite sure what Vladimir Putin really wants, except it sounds like he's bringing back an old philosophy of the Soviet Union. That's what it sounds like. I remember that as a kid. I remember it being there. I remember the Cold War. Fortunately, I'm never a part of it because I was a kid in Brooklyn, New York. But it sounds like he has an outdated mode of thought going on. And yes, he can send in his entire military. He can blow up every building. He can win the war if he wants to, but he's never going to defeat the Ukraine people. It's not going to happen. They're fighting. They're just there. They're not giving it up. They're not giving up. And yes, it's a different country. It's a different state. It's a different this, a different that. But basically, like in the Middle East, where you have so many countries next door to each other, they are next door to each other. They're basically from the same part of the world, very similar way of thinking. And if the war was on the other foot, so to say, and somebody was attacking Russia, I believe that the Russian people would be just as tough and you wouldn't be able to defeat them. I don't blame them for that. Last night, I go on some of my social media apps. Last night I was on live talking to people around the world, and I'm talking to someone who is in Ukraine. And she was living still in her building. Her brother went home to his family. She didn't want to go. She was in a bomb shelter sitting for 8 hours. Picture that, not moving, just sitting for 8 hours. So she quickly said, the hell with this, and went back home to her house. And she can go out early in the morning to the stores and get everything she needs. But while I was talking to her last night, or early this morning, her time, about 7 o'clock her time in the morning, she was sitting in her bathtub. Yeah, she got herself a glass of water, went back into the bathroom, and just sat down in the bathtub. Because the theory of, in case of disaster, it's safest in the bathroom. Well, that may work for earthquakes, because if the roof falls flat, it still hits the tub, you land the tub. I don't know if that works in the bombing, but that's where she went. And she's sitting and talking to everybody who's listening, yes, talking to us, and getting her laughs in where she can from the bathroom. And I knew she was leaving in about 20 minutes to go to the store anyway for her daily shopping, say hello to the neighbors, and whatever, just get to be around people. I said, well, why don't you drink your coffee on the porch and maybe outside? She goes, you're not here. You don't understand. Because someone can kill you out there now. She's right. I'm not there. That's the good thing about America. Wars don't come to America. They really don't. We're far away from a lot of things. For us, war means a road show. We go somewhere. to do it. I don't remember anyone ever invading Nebraska. It just doesn't happen. Now, when my father was a kid, my parents were kids, my father's father, my grandfather, he did beach patrol because there were Nazis. We didn't know. We grew up in Coney Island, Brighton Beach area. So yeah, there's a beach, there's a dock, there's beach patrol. And that's just, of course, on shorelines. And there were many of that going up and down the coasts, both coasts. But for the most part, actually, usually, nobody can really afford to come to America. Nobody really comes here. I don't remember anyone ever attacking North Carolina. You know what I mean? It's just not as fast. So yeah, I understand. I understand that part. I'm not there. No, I don't understand what she's thinking because I'm sitting in my living room talking to her and she's sitting in a bathtub. And you can find a different way of thinking in every country, but really, it's just sucks. It's always the people, the general people. Yeah. I did like one. I did get a couple of laughs at videos. One Russian tank ran out of gas and broke down on the road, so the soldiers got out. So someone in the Ukraine truck put a tow hook on the tank and started towing it off. The Russian soldiers tried to catch him, but they couldn't do it. It's just little videos like that you see that just tell me that no, you can win the territory, but you're not going to defeat the people. It's just not happening. At least that's how I see it. That's just, yeah. Now what Vladimir Putin's doing, I mean, even if he gets Ukraine, if he gets all of Ukraine, the only thing he could think of do next is go next door somewhere else. Right now, people are running off to Poland. So financial aid will probably eventually be going to Poland because they have, I don't know how many people have gone in there by now, what the current count is at this minute, but a lot of people are gone. They've run off, they've gone. Even though Ukraine is not letting anyone leave, any male leave between the ages of 18 and 60. That still leaves a lot of women, children, older men, I guess people with physical limitations, so to say. So yeah, that's a lot of people, but you won't beat them. That's not happening. That's just, there's an old thought saying, because of the way it was with Nazi Germany, which comes as Jews don't genuflect, which pretty much means no matter who is trying to get us, we are not bowing in servitude to anyone. That doesn't happen. It didn't happen when it was Jews against the Egyptians in times of Moses. It doesn't happen when it was Jews against the Nazis. They may kill us, but we're not bowing to anyone. And now with the Russian army coming into Ukraine, you're not going to see Ukraine's genuflecting to Russians. It's not happening. It just isn't going to go there. And so I say good for them. I really do. I say good for them. Don't lay down. You may lose, but don't lay down. Lots going on in the world, even after all this. Well, let's get on to some of the other stuff, huh? Because it is still an interesting world outside of military and health actions. By the way, speaking of health, mask mandates are getting ready to come down in a lot of places. New York City, Mayor Eric Adams is thinking of removing it very shortly also, except maybe inside the schools. What else? One thing that happened today, who knew I would get a fresh story? Well, former New York Yankee and current CEO of Miami Marlins is stepping down. He is leaving his job as the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Miami Marlins. Still, I believe a partial owner, but he's not going to be running the board anymore. When he, as I'm reading, he had a vision 5 years ago. He wanted to turn the Marlins around. He put in some good work doing it. But right now, the Marlins are thinking of saving money and trying to spend under 70 million for their entire team. That's been the Florida Marlins history of, of running their team, their MO, so to say. Even when they won the World Series, they broke the team up right away. Somebody might have wanted a raise. So Derek Jeter is stepping down. I got to tell you something about Derek Jeter. He was a great player. He had a perfect baseball mind. He really was. Take it from a guy who bet against him a million times and lost a million times. He would do anything it took to win the game. So when Alex Rodriguez came to the New York Yankees, it's always debatable who was better, who was the better athlete. And I always went with, A-Rod could be the better athlete, but he's not the better player. He is, A-Rod didn't have defensive dirt. He didn't do what he had to. He didn't do those Derek Jeter things, throwing himself everywhere. There's the famous clip of Derek Jeter going headfirst into the stands, landing on who knows whose lap, coming up bloody. He is the perfect team player. And I'm sure he's leaving for a good reason. So, yes, he will still have part of the team as far as I know, unless he's looking to sell his portion of it. But, okay, so he's stepping down. Not sure who's taking this place as of yet. What else is going on in the music world? Oh, my. Well, every other major musician, older rocker, is selling their songbook. So is Neil Diamond. He's selling his songbook to Universal Music Group for an undisclosed sum. I'd like to be worth 1/10 of what Neil Diamond's songbook is worth. And according to what I'm reading here, he has 110 unreleased tracks. From a long way, 110 songs he never got around to getting rid of. This is tea. I wish it was whiskey. But Sweet Caroline, yes, Sweet Caroline, Red Wine, Solitary Man, Girl, You'll Be a Woman, You Don't Bring Me Flowers. Yeah, he also did Cracklin' Rosie. He did so many other songs. It's too much depth for me even to dive into. But I don't know what he's going to get. I am sure, not that he's hurting for money now, but listen, one less thing to worry about. And he is going to be selling. I hope he gets the number he wants. I'm sure he will. That's the latest in music. And then we have a couple of ridiculous stories coming up because some of this shit, some of this stuff is just sick. I got to tell you. Well, let's start no random order. What is this? FD, what is this? Okay. Let's start. This is the oldest one first. A student had legs, fingers amputated after eating leftover Chinese food. Chinese takeout. This guy took home a Chinese takeout, 19 years old, put it in the fridge, ate, I guess, the rest the next day. We're talking about lo mein chicken and rice, basics in the Chinese restaurant. Next thing is, all kinds of problems came up. Now, all kinds of shock, multiple organ failure, skin mottling, and regular rash. Yeah, this guy had amputations all over his body, and it's incredible. So really be very careful. I mean, in his group of friends, some just got sick, but not like this. Now I'm looking at pictures of this guy. He looks like he's rotting. You'd think he was decomposing, but it really is what this is. And be very careful where you're ordering from and what you're saving. Okay, speaking of eating. Let me shake my head for a few minutes. Okay, a plus-size travel blogger sparks cruel attacks, which says buy 2 seats or don't fly. Well, let's see. So some of the people reading this called her too fat to fly. It says a UK travel blogger who filmed herself struggling to fit in a seat has divided commenters. Okay, people of different opinions, obviously, with critics telling her to buy 2 seats or forgo flying altogether. And on her TikTok page, which has 1.7 million views, I wanted to make a lighthearted video using a very popular TikTok trend to illustrate things that I know a lot of people face when they travel. Kirsty Leanne told Jam Press of her predicament. That's who did it. 29-year-old Globetrotter runs Plus Size Travel 2, a site geared to help travelers overcome the hurdles of traveling while fat. Some of Leanne's tips include asking for a seatbelt extender, selecting window seats, since they provide more space. Window seats in an airplane providing more space. Well, it can't be legroom, but it could be that no one on either side of you can lean on you. And with the window the way it is, you could probably dip your head in there if you want to. So I guess you have a few extra inches here or there. But no, there's no real great space. What does it say? Choosing comfortable seat, making the seatbelt extend. Yeah, ask for seatbelt extender, tray tables not going down, small bathrooms are all things we have to worry about when we travel. So I wanted to show people that they're not alone. 8-second clip. Take it from me, a guy who was bigger than her. This is not surprising. Anyone who's heavy knows what goes on in coach. If you're going to sit in coach, you are not sitting in heavy. This is just the way it is. I've worn that seatbelt extended. I've sat on my lighter days. That seatbelt tray isn't all that great. That's just the way it is. What you do have an option of when you're heavy is to take business class. That's a little bit bigger. If you're really financially sound, if you're really able to, you can go first class. But if you're going to purposely sit where you know you can't fit, then you should not be getting sympathy. Yes, we all know it. If you're heavy and I am heavy, we all know what it's like. This was a cheap thing to me to do to get hits on a social media video. It really is. It really is. I always remember a scene in The Honeymooners. Ralph Cramden has taken over being the super of the building, which his wife Alice is telling him it's a bad idea throughout the show. There's a scene near the end where something's wrong in the basement. He has to go downstairs to fix it, to get more hot water up to Ed Norton's apartment. And there's these 2 big giant pipes with the handle to crank to increase the pressure is behind him. So he crawls between these 2 pipes and now he's wedged, really wedged. Anyway, the scene passes with a few laughs. And there's Ralph telling, later on in the next scene, telling Alice it wasn't his fault. Yeah, it wasn't their fault. I did that. And she's telling him, yeah, Ralph, it's not your fault. You were just doing your impersonation of 2 pounds of bologna in a 1-pound bag. So that's what it's like if you're going to sit in a seat way too small for you, knowing what's going to happen. And you're going to show everybody that you know what's going to happen. Then why do it? We all know what's going to happen. I don't need you to tell me how tight it is. I already know. I've been on American Airlines. They're some of the worst. But you do have the option of going to business class. Personally, I like the aisle seats because when it's quiet, I get to put my leg out. I get to stand up in the aisle a little bit. I'll sit on the armrest. That way I have a little more freedom. No, I don't want to sit in the middle of anybody under any conditions. And somehow I really don't believe that there's more seating room by the window. Anyway, that's personal preference. But yes, this is someone who I hate to say did her impersonation of 2 pounds of bologna in a 1 pound bag. Next story. What else is going on in the world? Well, I can always use a good medical advancement. I don't know if this is one of them, but I'll keep waiting. So the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, approves the first condom specifically intended for anal sex. Yes, you're hearing that right. Yeah, that's what it says. Made for anal intercourse. Well, while one male condom is not markedly different from the hundreds of others on the market, it is the first that will be allowed to use the safe and effective use label for reducing sexually transmitted infectious diseases, I guess, during anal sex. It's approved for the use of contraceptive, and it is means to reduce STIs during vaginal intercourse. That's what a condom does, supposedly. Also, as trip to the drugstore, just in case you don't want something happening, an accident. Well, it says this landmark shift demonstrates that when researchers, advocates, and companies come together, we can create a lasting impact on public health efforts. Well, there have been over 300 condoms approved for use in vaginal sex, but never one used for this type of sex data. Okay. Well, says Courtney Leas, director of FDA's Office for Gastrorenal OBGYN, General Hospital and Urology Devices, noted that the risk of STI transmission during anal intercourse is significantly higher than during vaginal intercourse. Well, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Think about what's coming in contact and where it's happening. I will use two perfect examples. The person penetrating is coming in contact with possible fecal matter. The person on the receiving end of all this, well, if you think about how fast a suppository works, imagine all the things that can happen if the condom breaks here. So yes, this is what can happen. Look at this disgusting topic I'm talking about. But this is what we're having here as the important medical stride of the week. A condom, so someone can, need I say more? So there you go. There is that story. Oh man, gotta love this stuff. Here's a kid who needs to go to negotiation school. I got this story on the 22nd, so it's a 6-day-old story, but it didn't make the headline, so you probably won't hear about it. The headline says his mother promised him $1,800 when he turned 18 if he stayed off of social media for 6 years. That's pretty good. 6 years. Severt Kifsas did just that. I thought it was awesome. I thought, what's 6 more years? And he did it from starting the age 12. Now he's 18. He got a whopping $1,800 check. Well, when you're 18, you're getting a check. That's pretty good. That works. Except he negotiated for 87 cents a day. I don't think he understood that going in. But yeah, that was the breakdown. I did the math. 87 cents a day. Yeah. Okay, I guess everyone has a price. Sometimes 87 cents is 87 cents. I don't know if this kid's ever going to be my lawyer or my accountant, but yeah, okay, you got the check cash. That's what goes on. Then there's the woman I found, the new social media trend and challenge. Here you got a woman who says, I'll inhale dangerous tanning nasal sprays because I'd rather die hot than live ugly. And this is a woman named, what is her name? Where the hell is her name? It says, beauty influencers are taking to TikTok to show themselves snorting sprays they claim will give them a golden tan. But doctors warn it can be ineffective and dangerous. Well, that is true. That is true. It says British TikToker Hannah Tay, Tayy, did a short video of her snorting, and that's just what she's doing, snorting something. I don't know if it really is tanning spray, but that's what she's doing. And I'm looking at the two women they're using. Now, the theory is that this is a shallow-minded kid who said people who are older are ugly. She doesn't want that. She'd rather die now. Well, okay, keep putting shit in your body and you may just get your wish. But I'm looking at the girls. Well, yeah, they're quite attractive. They really are. And I think when they get older, they'll still be quite attractive, even with whether they lay on the beach or not. So I'm not quite sure what this does for them, but good luck. Hopefully you don't rot your sinuses out, have to breathe through a bag, and hopefully you don't do whatever to your lungs, because that's where it's going. But yeah, that's every time you turn around, there is a new trend of stupidity on social media somewhere. I remember the Tide Pod challenge. I sort of liked the ice bucket challenge because it was harmless, except the guy who stood under a bulldozer, excuse me, under a big lift, and they came crashing on his head. Other than that, it's been pretty harmless so far. Oh, except the guy who stood under the balcony where the kid poured the water on him, then knocked the flower pot in his head. Oh, but it's generally, so anyway, that's what's going on. People sticking things in their nose for no effect whatsoever. What can we do, right? People are that kind of dumb. Look at this. It's 20 minutes to go, and I'm still talking about people who are that kind of dumb. Yeah, this has been a very weird week, obviously. Been a very weird week. There is something I would like to talk about that it's something so simple, which is a lost art, but it's something so simple. And that is the art of saving someone's face. That comes, I guess, from the Chinese of one, basically translated, someone wanting to save their face. So they shouldn't be too embarrassed. You know, that's your face. I don't mean like a physical damage. Their face, who they are, those levels of respect. And there is it's just that over time, over certain things that have happened along the way, I noticed that people don't know how to do that. Sometimes you need your face saved. You need to keep your respect levels. So, depending on the situation, it falls to somebody else to, to help you in that area, and not to embarrass you, not to humiliate you somehow. Now, I'm saying this as we're talking about a war. It sounds, what I'm saying is sort of cheap and frivolous and all that. But I'm watching this. I still have the news on while I'm talking to you. What is it going to take to end this war? Well, I don't think it's going to be because Ukraine's going to develop this super military in the next day or two. I think somehow when this ends, Vladimir Putin is going to need a way out, a way to save his face. That's something I just see coming, because he's not going to walk away tail between his legs and say, basically, I'm sorry, because it's not going to happen. That's not in his nature. This is the former head of the KGB. This is the man who leads one of the most powerful countries in the world. He's not going to simply back down and say, I was wrong. I'm sorry, I'm never going to do it again. So he's going to need a way out. I'm not sure what it's going to take, but someone's going to have to think of what his ego price may be, or his pride price may be, or how to leave him with his somewhat of respect left intact, because I don't see how else he's going to stop. That leaving me to everyday life again. A couple of things happened recently. And I'm not going to go into what happened, but it just reminded me that the art of saving someone's face. that, let's just say I was embarrassed by something that I had no involvement. Well, I want to have no involvement in, but I didn't know how this was going to work out. I was just doing something for someone. And the next thing is that I'm no longer doing this, but how it came about was pretty embarrassing. And again, there's a way to do things and a way not. These are all things you're not taught in school. It's not in the textbook. You're not going to learn it in school. It's not part of well, it could be part of on the job training, but that's probably something that you learn the hard way. And again, it's a matter of leaving somebody an out with their self-respect, with their respect intact, where they don't have to feel like an idiot for helping you out in the first place. It's a matter of, like I say, saving someone's face. And that way, if you ever need them again, if you ever need your friends' help again, they'll probably help you because you didn't leave them feeling bad in the first place. And I've come across that. Whenever I've had to stop something, cancel something, reject something, someone, I try to do it where I leave them a little bit of a way out because I don't want people to feel bad. It's not a job. It's not you're fired. Sorry, your service isn't over. I'm not getting paid for something. But even then, I try to leave people with a way out. They're just as fired, but unfortunately, but fortunately, if possible, they don't leave feeling humiliated or whatever. Anyway, I try my best, depending on the situation. Sometimes you got to tell people where to go, but usually not. And I just came across a situation last week where that could have been handled better. And that's just what I think about it. Leaving somebody with their face intact. That way they don't feel like an idiot. Yeah, in the first place. They don't feel like an idiot when it's all said and done. Something to study up on anyway. Something to study up on, at least I think so anyway. I'll be watching the news again, probably all night tonight, but I'm getting more information from my social media apps where I go and the people I talk to who are from Ukraine, because they're telling me what's happening in front of their building. They're telling me what's going on the street, where I never thought I'd have any kind of real use for TikTok. These are people taking videos right there on the scene and posting it to their stream. And you can see just what's going on. So when you hear like what some news outlet saying, well, the streets are quiet tonight, you can see somebody else putting up a video around the same time slot showing you what's really going on. Yeah, there's no real explosions, but there are 1,000 troops walking by her front door and she's sitting in the bathtub. Yeah, so that's the way it goes, right? That's the way it goes. War is not something to be had. Very rarely is there a reason for it. They say that in the Middle East all the time. I wasn't around for Korea. I was a little small child for Vietnam. Certainly I wasn't around for World War II or the Civil War, but it's never necessary. It's always the people who wind up dying for it. The politicians who are debating it, who are ordering it, they're eating fine. They're doing okay. In this case, it may be the president of Ukraine or the mayor of Kyiv who pay for it if battle gets near them. But that's what's going on. And everything else this week has been pretty good. My scale is still holding steady, still doing the weight thing, still washing off the tuna. Not every night, but sometimes you really have to eat real food, normal food, which can halt things a little bit. My sugar is still holding steady. Although I woke up today feeling a little bit off, so my sugar, I knew something was up. So my sugar was a little bit up today, but other than that, I'm fine. It'll be a little down tomorrow. And everything else is going pretty well. Jade and I are considering changing the format of the show again a little bit, just a little bit. I don't know if I'll be doing an hour straight next week or not, but we're going to look into breaking it up a little bit to other segments. Just to give it the plot a little twist. So, doesn't matter. August 1st is still my 6th year anniversary of talking on the air to whoever's listening. And that is what we're thinking of. What is it, 5:48? All right, we can chirp a little longer. We can still go on. We can still go on about it. If you keep up with the hosts on the station, our friend Mia from Mia's World, she's still out on her Instagram page doing the COVID dance. I think version 121 or 2 right now. She goes into wherever shop she goes to, or outside, or wherever she sees, and starts dancing. Okay. She's welcome on here on Zoom to come dance, but yeah, she's doing the COVID dance. Me, I grew up doing the neutron dance, but here she's doing the COVID dance. And Jade has just performed the other night. She had a good time doing that. What's your t-shirt say today? What do you got on? Oh, it's a couple of guitars, up and down guitars. Okay, it's a cool t-shirt. And everything else is going pretty well. Yeah. Everything else is going pretty well. Sleeping okay. It's still cold in New York. If you're in Florida, yeah, have a little pity. But don't worry, no matter how cold it gets, it's never too cold for ice cream. Anyway, that is the story. I think I'm going to cut it a little short today because I do have to get a few things done. We've discussed all there is to discuss. It's unfortunate. There are some other odd and crazy ass stories out there that are just so ridiculous, so stupid. But you know, you do the best you can with them. Yeah, like I said, yeah, Neil, well, he's going to be making who knows how much. Again, check all the vodka, make sure where it comes from so you don't lose it. Oh, by the way, in case you were wondering, in Russia, they were playing aired clips of Tucker Carlson. Just in case you were wondering, Tucker made it through. Not sure about the future of Joy. Oh, Joy Behar doesn't have to leave the View after comparing war and saying how bad it is, how inconvenient it is because she was planning a trip to Italy. Everyone has their priorities, I guess. Yeah. Or if you were looking for Donald Trump's Truth Social app, so yeah, Truth Social app, that's what he has. It launched. There's been a glitch in loading people up, but there is one thing you have to agree to: that there will be no disparaging remarks against the creators of the app, which means you can't say anything bad about Donald Trump on the app, even though he's big into free speech. Just letting you know. So if you download the thing, don't insult. There you go. Before I forget, a bill in Florida is being proposed that will require students to take a financial literacy course in order to graduate. In other words, they're taking a course to learn how to deal with their money, because not many kids learn. Then again, there are a lot of kids who don't know how to write their name yet. So yeah, that is the story. Oh, look at that. Someone saying hello to me on Messenger. Okay, I'll get to that later on. The yacht is still sinking. Derek Jeter's out of a job. Someone give him a break. Russia is being cut off of its business ties all around the world. A condom is good, so people can take it. Oh, well, it's another story. Someone is too fat to sit in a half-size seat. Well, she should get it too. She should figure out something. Sit sideways. I do. And that is the story. People, I leave you a couple of minutes late, but you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Go get a drink before the next show comes on. Everything's good. I will see everybody next week. We have a new month coming up. And I wish you all well. So have a good night. Until then, watch the news. And remember, something comes up between you and a friend, you and whoever, family member, save their face.